Hello, and welcome to That Goes Awesome, the only podcast where everything goes awesome. I'm Jayden.
I'm Christian.
And this right here is Zoe. And we're back.
We're back.
If you missed our last episode, we introduced the podcast, mentioned kind of what we wanted to do, and we also talked about like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which we both took part in. So if you missed that, I'd definitely check it out, because fun pod, a little bit longer because we had to do our intro at the beginning, but you should definitely check that out so you know more about us before you come here.
A little more serious than we are planning on doing for the next few, but well, just the whole thing in general, not just the next few. But
yeah, that one's a little bit more serious, but we're looking to have a little bit more fun.
We'll have fun this time.
So, Christian, what are we going to do today?
Today, we're going to be doing a draft. Not like fantasy football style draft, nothing actually like manly like that. we're doing a video game draft. We're going to be doing best video games. This is not our personal list for what we think are our favorite games of all time. We're going to actually be competitive here, and we're going to try to actually just put down 5 of what we think are the best video games.
Yeah, and after we each draft, we're going to go back and forth drafting what video games we think are the best. And then we're going to, well, y'all will hear the list, and then I guess we'll release it in some way, but y'all are going to have the chance to vote on whose team you think is better.
Yes.
And whoever's team loses has to do a punishment.
Yes. Do we know what the punishment is? Because I sure don't.
I think whoever loses should have to post some type of embarrassing picture on social media, but I don't know what exactly kind of embarrassing picture.
I've got a lot that I would count as embarrassing.
No, I think we need to go out of our way and take a new picture.
To take a new one?
Like, take a new one.
Okay.
Like, of us dressed up as something funny, or then we have to post it.
Yeah, I could do that. I'm not going to do that because I'll win.
No, I'm winning.
We'll see.
Winner gets to choose what the other person has to dress up. What the other person has to dress up as.
Okay.
And then they post the picture on our social media.
That works.
So the fans, whoever's listening to the podcast, votes on who's the best.
Uh-huh.
Whoever wins gets to pick what the other person has to dress up as.
Yes. I like that idea.
I like that
works.
idea too.
That works.
And I'm going to win, so I'm going to pick something really funny and make it be all over Instagram.
No, you're not winning, but I have no clue what I'm going to make you do yet. So
Well,
hopefully I win.
I have no clue either, but we'll see.
Okay.
I'll think of something really funny.
Okay. Well, may the worst man lose.
What does that even mean? Wait.
It's like the best man wins, Jayden. But like the worst man. Okay. You're impossible.
Well, I'm not the worst man, so take that.
Okay, wow. You killed me. Oh.
Okay, so this isn't exactly the most successful video games of all time.
Yeah, we have like very similar answers. Like, we already decided before this that Tetris is probably like number 1 either way. And I'm not putting Fortnite on my list. I don't know if you're gonna put Fortnite on yours, but
so that's not. We're not going for like most successful or what games made the most money. It's like our overall opinion plus what we would think is like the overall consensus.
I think it's a list of objectively good video games. Like it doesn't have to be something that you personally are like, oh, I love this game, but like it's a game that like the general public opinion has to be this game is very good and is a contender for one of the best ever made.
Okay, so how are we going to decide who goes first? We were supposed to bring a coin.
Well, you had the coin. We can put Zoe on the table, and who she walks towards.
She's just gonna fall off the table. That's a terrible. Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors.
That's a lot more fair than what I was gonna say.
What were you gonna say?
How confident are you in flipping a water bottle?
I like that idea, but that is not enough to flip it.
Pour some of that one in this one, or just chug some of that one real quick.
Why don't we drink some of that one?
Wait, you think that's too much or not enough?
That's too much.
Oh, okay, then drink it.
No, we were gonna flip the same one.
No, you flip it, and then if you make it, you go first.
So you want me to like, drink most of this, like right now?
And then if you miss it, I'll go first.
Okay, you need to drink until like it gets there.
I'm not gonna flip it. Only one of us flips it.
What? Then why don't I just flip that one?
Then flip that one.
We'll have to drink some of it though.
Okay, drink it. I'm not drinking it. For no apparent reason. This is going to turn into ASMR if you don't just drink some.
I know. Give me.
So for the podcast only listeners, if you're not watching the video, Christian is currently struggling to down this water that is actually a week old. because that is the same bottle of water that was sitting here last time we did this podcast. And he's still drinking it. Well, he's trying. He keeps kind of laughing, but
Stop. Just let me drink the water.
he's now getting angry at me narrating it. Man, this was not worth it. We could have just flipped Zoe.
Well, okay, so I'm flipping it. It's just me?
You flip it. Or are you confident you're going to make it?
Yeah.
So if you make it, you go first. If you miss, I go first.
But I want you to go first.
No, okay, then do it the other way.
If I make it, you go first?
If you make it, I'll go first.
Okay.
Ooh. And
Well.
he missed. He sucks. So you're going first.
Okay.
That was way too complicated.
So we're not doing it in order, right? It's just top 5? It's just 5 games? Like, does that
It's-
have to be a 5 best or worst or whatever?
It's not necessarily the order what you think is the best, but you kind of want to go with what you think is best, or what maybe you think I might take.
Yeah, we need to get heavy hitters out of the way early, which is why I'm going to pick Red Dead Redemption 2.
That was on my list.
Yes. So, okay, for everyone to know, just so you know, this paper right here is a list of 10 games that Jayden put down because he thought that he was going to forget. I have gone in with 0 planning, and I'm just going to freeball it the entire time.
You see,
And-
context. I have a super bad
His memory is awful.
And I actually had 11 games, and right when I finished the list, I said that I had 11 now, but I forgot to write down the 11th, and at
Yeah.
this point, I still don't remember what the 11th was, and that was literally like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So now I have 10. I might remember the 11th later, but that was on my list. That was one of them.
Okay, so I guess I gotta actually explain why I picked it. So
Yeah, let's go
first
through
of
all
all,
of them.
I think it is a very, very common opinion from a lot of people that Red Dead Redemption 2 is very well considered the best game ever made. It is so many people's favorite game ever made. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. I don't like it. Like in general,
Crazy statement.
yeah, it is a crazy thing to say. I think it is a phenomenally well-made game, and I've played quite a bit of it, but it is not my speed of a game. And it's not even that it's just like a slow game. It's just like for what it does, I don't enjoy it. I think the first one is a better game. I think the second one's a great like cowboy simulator game, but the first one's just a great cowboy game. And the story that it tells is incredible. Like the reason I'm picking it is just that like it's hard to find someone who actually thinks it's a bad game. Like I don't like it, like honestly, like, at all. But I think it is a very well made game. It's just not for me at all. But I think the characters like Arthur Morgan is like a top 5 best written protagonist of all time. Like maybe not outside of video games, but I've played a lot more games than I've read books, so like I can't really say much there. But like I think as far as the actual story of the game goes, it's like almost untouchable. Mm-hmm. The characters are great. The overall story is just like so good. It's just for me where it struggles is the gameplay, but I know a lot of people don't. It just depends, because like if you grew up playing like GTA or something like that, you're more used to that style of gameplay, and I didn't. So whenever I played Red Dead 2, I kind of struggled with it, and I'm still not a massive fan of Rockstar's gameplay overall.
I think that makes sense. I think there is a chance you get like backlash just from saying that.
Just for saying I don't like it.
You don't like it, because that is one of the most commonly accepted like great games.
It's absolutely one of the best ever made. I just didn't have fun with it when I played it.
I understand, and I was late getting to play that game.
Yeah.
I didn't play it when it first came out. I only played it like this past year, and I beat the story. And I can see what you're saying about some of the gameplay. It's not like my favorite type of gameplay, but the story is so good, I don't think it really matters. I think it's more of a story game, and I honestly haven't really touched the online. But just from how great the story is, I wanted it in my top 5.
See, it's kind of funny that you say that, because like I literally just sat here and was like, I don't like the gameplay, but I've got so many hours in the online compared to the story mode, and I think it's because despite not liking the gameplay, the part that really gets me is how much of it feels like an actual like role-playing game when you're not actually playing a role. You're given, well, technically you're playing the role of Arthur Morgan, but like it feels so much like a cowboy simulator where you're existing in a cowboy world that I wanted to like, I found it more fun to play as my own cowboy that I made and go around with my friends and like just do not bank heists, but like train heists and stuff like that, and like bounty hunts and stuff like that. That was what was fun to me. But like that's not the good part of the game. Like the online is absolutely incredible. Not online, sorry. The story mode is like absolutely incredible. Just I personally played the online more, but like overall, it is very hard, if not impossible, to look somebody dead in the eyes and be like, Red Dead 2 is a bad game, because it's not.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that like they
No.
just hate Red Dead.
I don't like it, but I think it is such a well-made game, and it's like one of the most perfect games of all time. It's just not for me.
Well, I hate that it's on your list because you're saying it's not for you. I would have probably had it on
Yeah,
my team.
that's the thing. Yeah, I had to take it because I knew you'd put it on
you
your
only
list.
you only took it because so I didn't.
That's
take
what
it.
we're competing here. I'm gonna win.
Well, I think that is a good, solid first pick nonetheless. But unless you have something else to say, I'll just go on.
No, yeah, I'm done with Red Dead for
Okay.
now.
Well, that probably would have actually been my first pick too, even though it is also not my favorite game. It's just so good. Like I also knew you were interested in like
Yeah.
taking that game. I don't know if you're gonna expect what I'm gonna pick, but for my first game, I'm gonna pick Minecraft.
I thought that would be on your list. That is such a good answer. I was going to put it on mine. It's not in my like top 10 games or anything like that, but it should be there.
It's not in my top 10 games anymore. I mean, certainly, like, I used to play a lot more Minecraft than I do now. But it's just such a well-rounded sandbox game.
Yeah.
So many people have played Minecraft. It has to be, like, one of the most played games
And
ever.
I think it's the most bought game of all time now, which is insane.
Is it beat Tetris?
Yeah, and Tetris has been out since like 1985, and it counts every version of Tetris ever.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
But Minecraft is just such a game that, like, has something for everybody, almost. So many people can get into Minecraft. It's an easily accessible game.
Yeah. I know a
And-
lot of people who only play Minecraft.
Yeah, me too. And it's a game that I think a lot of people, probably our generation, have fond memories of.
The game like parented me basically.
Yeah, literally. Like, so much of that game was like my childhood,
Yeah.
really. And I mean, I still make memories on it now, like occasionally when I get on and play Minecraft. But like I said before, I think it's just such a well-rounded game for people who like that style of game, I guess. And I think a lot of people would probably agree that it deserves to be in a top 5.
I absolutely agree. It's annoying doing this list because it's like I want to debate you and be like, well, Minecraft sucks. You shouldn't have it on your list. But like, how do you debate a game that you have played from like your earliest memories basically to adulthood? And like, I kind of can't. But like, we'll leave like the actual competition out of it for now because like you didn't say anything bad about Red Dead to refute my having it. So like, but like I think it's a very solid pick. I'm gonna have to think of something bad about it so I can get onto you for it. But it's hard.
Think about something bad now.
No, you didn't
Exactly.
you didn't say anything about bad about Red Dead. But like,
Well, it's because there's nothing bad about Minecraft.
if I had to come up with something just on the spot, it is solely that once you have done most of the things the game has to offer, you have to make your own fun. Like, it's not as fun to like build yourself up to go fight the Ender Dragon the second time as it is the first time. Like, once you have extensive knowledge about how the game works, the randomness of being dropped in the world and starting to punch trees and build a crafting table and stuff like that doesn't hit as hard because you're immediately like, what am I going to do first, and not how do I survive this day.
I think you're just coping because you have a bad imagination.
I have a great imagination.
That
I love the idea of making your own fun. Like, whenever I'm like bored in Minecraft and I decide to make a McDonald's with a working drive-thru, I'm gonna do it. But like, it's just that like, if I had to come up with anything, it's just that like, after so many years, they haven't added enough that makes people who stopped years ago want to come back.
I agree. The updates recently have been.
I think they've actually ramped up big time in the past like year, but there was like 6 years of just stagnant.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
yeah, it was the aquatic update, and then new stuff.
No, yeah, that's fair. But it's just such a game where like, you kind of said it's stagnant. Well, you said it stagnates in the updates, but you kind of said that like, once you complete the main objective, sometimes you have to make your own fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the game so good.
Yeah, it is a sandbox game. You're supposed to just do what you want in it. I get that.
The idea of just like there being no limit and it just being up to your imagination is what I think draws a lot of people in. And I think because of that, it's a great pick for number 1.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess it's my turn again. And here's the thing. There's a game that I want to say. I'm not going to say it because it is going to be on your list, and I know nothing, or I know about it, but I don't want to immediately repeat myself with what I said about Red Dead 2 and be like, it's a great game that I don't enjoy playing. So I'm not going to do it.
You're only going to take it because it's going to be on my list.
No, I'm not taking this one. I took Red Dead 2 because it was going to be on your list. And because I do think it is one of the best games ever made.
Okay.
It's just not my favorite. I think for my fourth pick, technically second, but like if we're going down fourth, I'm gonna pick Elden Ring, and that is a game that I actually got when it first came out and played. I put so much time into it, and then stopped for literally no reason. Like, I don't know if you know enough about it or anything like that, but it's like same creators as Dark Souls and stuff like that. It's super hard, and I didn't get stuck. Like, I didn't stop because I got stuck at a boss or anything. I literally just I beat a boss, and then I played for like a little bit after it. So I had to put like 35 hours into this playthrough, and then I beat like the most recent boss, and then I just stopped. And then I came back, and I think I beat the game like 2 months ago, and the game has been out since 2022. So like it took me 3 years, but I did get back to it. And like a big part of it for me was like the combat is very solid. It is very good. But like I'm a very fast-paced combat guy, and it does not have very fast-paced combat. It has like slow, methodical combat. Like when you're fighting bosses and stuff, it's more about what the boss can do and not what you can do. It's how you answer them, and not how you do your own thing against them. But like the overall world is the coolest I've ever seen in a video game. Like I'll never forget. Like I spent like 10 hours in just the first area alone, and then eventually I like found like an elevator thing just in the world that took me below the map, and suddenly there was a second map that was like comparable in size to the overworld, and you're like in space with like a galaxy around you, and there's just like blue trees and stuff like that everywhere, and like fancy glowing mushrooms and like yetis with bows and crossbows just hunting you down. And it's just like that feeling of exploration is something I have never had matched in any other game ever. So I just think it's another one like Red Dead, where it came out and people were just like, well, that's immediately like one of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah, I can't say a lot about Elden Ring because I've never played it. I did play a little bit of the first Dark Souls game. That's pretty much the extent of it, and I did like that style of game. I can't really say anything bad about that style other than the fact that it's not for me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the difficulty and the people who are really into like hard games. That's just not something I play.
Yeah, no, I absolutely understand that.
I get that a lot of people do like games like that, so I think a lot of people will like that pick. My only other gripe with it, I guess, is just that it's a hard. I mean, I really don't.
It's not an accessible game.
It takes a. I guess what I was trying to say is it takes like a certain level of video gamer to like actually play that game.
I firmly believe anyone can beat it, but I also firmly believe that there is a very solid chance you're gonna drop the $60 that the game cost, and then realize within 5 hours I don't like this game. I'm not gonna play it anymore, and I wasted my money. I think that's the biggest thing about it.
That's the biggest thing I've heard about that game. Like I've heard multiple friends of mine who have bought that game and they've played it, but they've never beat it.
Yeah,
which doesn't necessarily make a game bad. I mean, you still got the person to buy it and enjoy it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think seeing a game through is important, and if a big portion of your audience can't do that, I don't know if that makes it one of the best games. But
it's one of the best selling games out there, and I think what really gets it is it's like I was kind of a very late adopter to their gameplay style. I did not like Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3 very much. I played Bloodborne, which is like their PlayStation exclusive one, and I actually really liked that because it's very like H.P. Lovecraft, and I love that like style of story. And then like I got Elden Ring when it first came out, but since then I have beaten Bloodborne, Elden Ring, and Dark Souls 1. I'm halfway through Dark Souls 3, and I just started their game Sekiro, which is like the feudal Japan, like actually fast combat. And like the thing about their games is that it's about overcoming a challenge, and almost every time you beat something that got you stuck, it feels like you're beating an entire game. Basically, like the feeling you get for finally beating a game is the same feeling you get constantly throughout that game.
I do remember that feeling. Maybe it's because I haven't played Dark Souls in so long, but I remember like when I first beat like the first few bosses in Dark Souls, it was like a really rewarding.
You get like an immediate like, adrenaline rush. You're like, yes, I like that feeling, and that's what keeps you going.
Which, like I said earlier, I appreciate those games. I just don't know if I'd put it in my top 5 because that's not a feeling that the majority of people who play video games would probably seek out.
I would agree with you in the past, but where it has just become like one of the most unanimously highest rated games, and it's like still in the top 10 most played on Steam like literally every day, there's a ridiculous amount of people who do like that now, and it's because of Elden Ring. Because before that, those games were popular, but they were like niche. It wasn't like everyone played them. It was like, I know what it is. It's not for me. And then Elden Ring came out, and then everybody was like, wait a second, that might be for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll give you that one.
Okay, so we should probably move on to the next pick for you. So
Okay, let me see. So, going off the next pick, this is probably the other one that you've thought about.
I guarantee it.
You'll have to tell me if it is or not. It is also another Rockstar game.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick GTA 5.
Yes, this is the one I was going to say that I said I didn't want to say, so I wouldn't crap on it again.
If you picked another Rockstar game right after Red Dead, that would have been crazy.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that.
No, I wanted Red Dead on my list, but I think having GTA 5 on my list is just as good. I wanted both, but GTA 5 is, for its time especially, is one of the best games. I think it's hard to argue.
No, yeah, I would not argue that it's a bad game at all.
I don't know the exact stats, but it had to be when it came out. It was like 2012,
2011, 2012, something
like that. It, for its time, was an amazing game, and it still holds up.
There's still unfortunately a reason they are releasing like PS5 and Xbox Series updates for the game, like updating it to modern hardware.
Yeah, there's an update coming out later this month. For GTA Online. Like, it is still updated very regularly, and it still has a huge player base.
There's almost everything I've said about Elden Ring and why I think it deserves to be up there, like player base and stuff like that, absolutely goes for GTA as well. It's not my style of game, but the amount of people that still play that game every single day, whenever it's been like 10 years, like 10, 13 years, however many, like, that's insane, and you can't like knock it.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you said, obviously they're both Rockstar games, but a lot of what you said about Red Dead applies to GTA 2, because it has a great story, in my opinion, especially for a story that was created in a video game, like you said, 12, 13 years ago. It has a story that holds up very well. The characters are all fun to play as. And on top of the story, it has like the amazing online that has kept a player base for all of these years, like a big player base. Obviously, it's went down some, but it's kept like a huge player base, and people are just clamoring for GTA 6.
Yeah.
So I think because of how much it's held up with the time, it'd probably be hard to argue.
Yeah, no, it like completely shook video game culture. Like, it's like, there's a thing I believe where it's like, it's such a dumb, cringy thing to say, but it's like there is a difference between someone who like plays video games and someone who is a gamer, if that makes any sense. Like, I say someone who like is a gamer plays more like out there games. Like, I wouldn't say like Elden Ring is like one of those because it's now become so mainstream, but just like some random RPG that you've never heard of that you walk into a store and find, that kind of thing. And then someone who plays games is like the kind of guy who like buys a console and then only really plays like the new Call of Duty or the new Madden or like whatever. Like, and I think GTA is one of those games that, like, one of the few like times a single player game has reached that audience, to where people who don't play any game besides like multiplayer sports games and shooters and stuff like that are stuck on it because they can't, like, that's what they want to play, and like, that is a huge achievement for sure.
GTA is kind of became like a mainstream game. I think if you looked at both the games on your list so far, everybody who plays video games would agree that those are great video games. I think if you look at my two on my list, everybody would also agree, but I think my list also reaches to other people who aren't necessarily hardcore gamers. I think most people who have any affiliation with video games, or maybe like a mom or a dad who has children who play video games, have heard of Minecraft, and they've heard of GTA. I don't know if they've heard of Elden Ring. So I think that is, we'll see how it goes the rest of the list, but I think so far that's a plus in my corner, that it became such mainstream.
To argue that point now, I believe almost that mine is more culturally relevant now. Like, the games that I have listed have come out in the past few years and are games that are still talked about daily. And while GTA is up there, usually if you hear GTA talked about, it's because people are looking forward to GTA 6, not because they want to keep playing GTA 5. And Minecraft is like, if you looked on YouTube like 10 years ago, you could not escape it. but now you kind of have to seek out for it. It's like it's not as big of a thing as it used to be. Now kids are playing like Roblox and Fortnite and Among Us and stuff like that, which I am too, and I'm an adult. But
Yeah.
like it's not Minecraft especially isn't as big as it used to be. GTA is still there, but it's because people were still on the hype train for GTA 6.
That is all fair and that's all true, but I think just because people are so hyped for GTA 6, you have to give some credit to GTA 5.
Well, yeah, it carried a legacy
Yeah.
by itself for so many years. It's doing the same thing that Skyrim did, where Skyrim came out in 2011,
Mhm.
and people are still waiting for the Elder Scrolls 6 when it was announced 8 years ago and hasn't had a single trailer yet. Like,
Yeah.
it's doing that same kind of thing. Well, I guess it's time for my next pick. And honestly, I haven't thought remotely about it, but I say the one that I'm gonna pick is another fairly mainstream one, Resident Evil 4. I think Resident Evil 4 is the best in the series. The Resident Evil series is a huge series. It's like one of the best selling in the world. Most people who have heard of video games know that Resident Evil exists, in that it's like a horror scary game franchise. And Resident Evil 4 is like, I think a huge thing about it is that game specifically like revolutionized gaming. And that's not like just a thing to say to make it sound cool. Like it literally did. It came up with the concept of over the shoulder third person shooter games. So two of the games that we have mentioned with Red Dead and GTA exist because they're standing on the shoulders of what Resident Evil 4 started. And that's not just to say that Resident Evil 4 is a great game because it like technologically reset video games basically. The actual story is the best in the series. I think the main character, Leon Kennedy, is like top 5 best video game protagonist ever. And I think it's just because he kind of fits that same vibe of like what made like 80s action movies cooler. What are you laughing about?
I really gotta sneeze.
Go for it. Go for it. I'll hold the mic to you real quick.
No, I can't now. I was just trying to not sneeze while you were talking.
But yeah, I think it's by itself, like it stands alone as an incredible game that has one of the best stories ever told and has like no bad moments. Like it's just like a consistently solid game the entire way through, but also so many video games exist because it exists. It started a whole genre of video games, which is one of the most common out there now. Like the whole third person over the shoulder genre. That's not just shooter games. It's like literally anything. Like the modern day God of War games are also over the shoulder action games. Which is what Resident Evil 4 started. And I think it's just like a huge thing. It just got a remake 2 years ago that is also still considered one of the best games ever made. So the fact that they took a game that was already perfect and were able to remake it and people still think the original's perfect while the new one's also perfect is kind of crazy.
I once again have never played Resident Evil 4. A lot of my friends have played Resident Evil 4, and I've heard a lot of good things about that game. And I think it is on the borderline of mainstream game because
I'd say it's fully mainstream. It's the most common of the entire series to have played.
How many games are there? Resident Evil games?
Main series only 8. They just announced Resident Evil 9 and like literally like 4 days ago, and people are going crazy over it.
And 4 is the best?
4 is the best in the series by most people's standards.
By your standards?
Most people's.
By yours?
No. Well, I'd say probably. I think 4 is definitely like my favorite. It's the only one that I would put in my top 10 favorite games. But like, I do think there's absolutely an argument for the first one, but the remake of the first one on the GameCube is like a borderline perfect video game. And I don't think many games can be called perfect. But I would say Resident Evil 4 is perfect, and I think most people would as well.
I think you came around to it at the end, but I think you're doing an injustice to your list. You're not selling it well enough by saying it's not necessarily your favorite.
Well, no, that is something that I don't really mean that because I don't know.
You don't
if it's,
mean it?
No, I don't really know.
I don't mean that, guys.
I take it back. I don't think the first one is the best, but I absolutely see an argument for saying it is. But the fourth one is like what got me into the series, and I've played the original one and the remake, and to me they're like I see them as the same thing because they're just like so perfect. The stories are incredible. I just can't shake them apart. The one I'm picking for the sake of this is the original because it's what like the remake wasn't the one that invented the genre of third person like action over the shoulder shooters. The original did that, but like the fact that the new one comes out and like basically does what the original did again for a new audience is awesome. Like,
You were so not prepared for what I'm going to take for my third pick.
Okay.
I don't think you could ever guess. And I'm not even being sarcastic. Don't give me that look. I have
Doki Doki Literature Club.
No. So I have Minecraft, which is a big mainstream game. I have GTA, which is also a big mainstream game. And these are both huge company developed games. For my third game, I want to go with something that's a bit smaller. It's not necessarily from a big company, and it's also not mainstream.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
I don't think you do. It's a game where it focuses. It's a single player game, and it focuses.
Okay, so it's not what I think it is.
It focuses more on like adventure and like simple storytelling that isn't necessarily like handed straight to you. Like it's
Okay.
just. I don't know if you've probably played it, but Firewatch.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly. That's a phenomenal pick.
Yeah.
I can't crap on that at all because that's a good pick.
Firewatch is one of the most relaxing games that still tells a story, but it doesn't throw the story in your face.
Yeah.
There's so much subtle storytelling in that game where you could miss like layers to the story if you're just like trying to speed run it, or if you're just not paying attention to everything around you. But if you like take the time to enjoy it, it's not a like very long game at all.
It's not like 6 hours maybe max.
Yeah. But if you take the time to enjoy it, there's so much depth to the story that you might not even realize when you first play it. And it's also just like it's such a simple, and it's nice to play a game like just where you can relax. But there's just so many layers. I think it makes it one of the best games because when you really think about it, it makes replaying the game even better because
you can miss a lot.
The second time you play it, you'll see things you never even saw the first time.
Yeah.
And it's one of my personal favorite games I've ever played, of that genre at least.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick for sure. I'm not gonna spend like too much trying to like knock it down just because we spent so much time on the first two games each trying to knock them down that I don't just want to like go way over the time limit like last time. But I
the
do
time limit that we set ourselves.
Our fake time limit.
There's no limit.
There's no limit. But Firewatch, I do think it is a very well-made game, borderline perfect, which is not something we should be saying about the other person's games, but I think the fact that both of us have kind of mutually respected the list the entire time while having to find things to crap on is kind of funny. Because that's how the list should be.
Yeah.
I think Firewall fits into a genre. Firewatch, that's a different game, sorry.
Is that your third?
No, not at all.
Big Firewall guy.
Not a big Firewall guy. Firewatch is like, it fits into a genre that I'm not a huge fan of, but I've played a few, and I do like them, and this one is a very good one, of a game people call walking simulators.
Yes.
Where it's like, the majority of the gameplay is walking from place to place. And that is not a bad thing all the time, but it is, like you said, where it's like, that Firewatch is the most niche game we've had on the list so far. I think it's a great pick. It is a very good pick, but I do think that like from a casual standpoint, a lot of people will get turned off after like 2 hours of just walking.
But the bright side is once you've done 2 hours of walking, you're really halfway there. And
by the time
by the time you're in that point, you should be invested into the story.
And if you're not, the game's not for you. But walking simulators have to have a story that really hits the ground running, because if it takes too long, you're out.
There's just so much mystery to that game. I feel like once you've made it 2 hours, like that's deep into the story. Once you made it that far, like the game makes you want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
So I think it keeps you engaged, even though it is a walking simulator.
Yeah, but I'd say it's kind of similar to like a shorter version of Elden Ring, where it's like
Firewatch is just like Elden Ring.
It's just Elden Ring, but it's the walking version of Elden Ring.
You heard it here first, guys. Firewatch is Elden Ring.
It's like it can shake you, it can bounce you off. Like because I know a lot of people, I don't like this mindset at all, but I know a lot of people who are like, if the game doesn't convince me that I'm gonna like it within 30 minutes, I quit. And like, that's crazy, because I played too much. I'm sure you probably would have stopped playing Red Dead 2 within 30 minutes, like if you had that mindset, because the opening of Red Dead is famously long and boring, but the rest of the game is so good.
I did play the opening of Red Dead and then quit.
Yeah.
And then I went back and beat the game because I just don't like having things like undone.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, I think it is, because it's a shorter game, that definitely helps, like I said. And there's so much to find out, like every time you walk somewhere new, it seems like you're opening a whole new like batch of mysteries and stuff. and it's a fun game to just chill and vibe. And then when you're not wanting to stress about like some like shooter or some like competitive game, it's a fun game to like come home from work on a day and like unwind and stuff.
Yeah, it is a very nice, relaxing game, and for that, I do think it is a solid pick.
Was it unexpected pick?
Absolutely. I didn't even think you knew what that was.
I have played that game. I love it.
But that is a very good pick. Now, here's the thing again. Once again, I have come to a crossroads where I have no clue what to pick. Because I didn't make a list like you did. I didn't. I don't think I should. I think it's more fun to just come up with one on the spot. I'm gonna go for one that is a very heavy hitter for me as a child and has consistently stayed in my top 10 favorite games of all time since I played it when I was like 5 years old. And that is Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii. Mario is the standout video game franchise.
Mario got the Wii!
Wii! But everyone has played Mario at some point in their lives. And I think Mario Galaxy is like the pinnacle of the series. Like, it takes everything that has come before it and makes it better, and in my opinion still hasn't been touched since that. It is one of the few games to have like a full-on perfect score. Like, I don't think it has a full perfect score, but I think it has like a 99 on Metacritic, which is like the thing where it like takes every review across the globe and puts it into one website. And it's one of the very few games to be up there, and its sequel's up there as well. So like, that shows you how good the gameplay alone is. If the original and the sequel that people say isn't as good as the original is also a 99. It's just, it takes the series that's basically kickstarted video games, because obviously like stuff like Tetris and Pong is what really made people get into video games more, but Mario is like the most iconic video game ever for a reason. It is one that you can hand your like 99-year-old decrepit grandma a controller and she'll figure out how to play it. But like, Mario Galaxy takes a series that is known for just having absolute bangers and like no misses, and is the best in that series. And that's not something to like joke about, because like it's a game that is, there's no flaws that I can think of. Like,
I think it says something if a video game has a movie made about it. And the Mario, was it the Super
Mario Bros. Movie?
Yeah, that great movie. You know what else has a movie about it? The Minecraft movie, which is why that was a great
which
first
is so
pick.
much worse.
Objectively, the movie is worse, but it has a movie made about it.
But the Mario movie, however, does not have Chicken Jockey in that, so I think you have to dock some points for that.
I think it's missing the chicken jockey.
It is missing a chicken jockey for sure,
which is a bad thing.
That is a negative. But as a whole, the Mario movie was one of those, like, video game movies suck a majority of the time. Whenever I hear that one of my favorite video games is getting a movie adaptation, it's usually bad. Like, Uncharted, I hated that movie. But like, the Mario movie didn't get great reviews, but I have not talked to a single person who isn't like, I love that movie. And it's just because you can't hate Mario. Like, it appeals to literally everyone. It's like that, you know how like Lego boxes is like age 9 to 99. That's Mario, and like, in video game is like the video game form of Lego.
I don't really have much bad to say about Mario. Great pick. I'm torn. So I have 3 games that I really want to pick, and I'm torn between what I want my last 2 to be.
Yeah. Okay.
I think what I'm gonna go with for my fourth pick, I'm gonna say Far Cry 5, which you were probably expecting me to say earlier.
I wasn't expecting you to say it at all.
Well, I thought about not saying it at all.
I know it's your favorite game ever made, but I wouldn't put it on the list.
It is my favorite game, like my personal favorite game.
However, I will say though, picking one of your favorite games makes it significantly easier to talk up about it. So go ahead.
That is true. I believe Far Cry 5 is, at the very least, the best Far Cry game ever made, which a lot of people will say Far Cry 3 is better, Far Cry 4
I would say that.
You haven't even played Far Cry 5.
I've seen enough on it to know that it is just Far Cry 3 and 4 again.
Would you really want to listen to a guy who hasn't played the game? No.
Have you seen my list? I know. Are you talking about it?
Thumbs up. You mocking my shirt, man? Freshly squeezed? Okay. No.
You're like AEW sponsor out of nowhere? Like,
you can't even see that part. No, it's just a thumbs up. It's funny. But Far Cry 5, in my opinion, like I said, is the best Far Cry game. And if you don't like that style of game, you're not going to like Far Cry 5. But if you do enjoy that type of game, I think it's hard to argue that Far Cry 5 doesn't do it the best out of all the games, gameplay wise, because there is so much up and improved from the 3 and 4. I think the only reason people really like 3 is because of the story, which the story of 3
It's so good.
is incredible. I love the story of Far Cry 3. But the story of Far Cry 5, I think, is often not talked about enough.
I do think that is because a lot of people like me played a ton of 3 and 4 and were kind of done. It's nothing against 5. It's just that a lot of people who don't talk about 5 story is because they're like me and haven't played it.
Far Cry 5, the story, in my opinion, is one of the best stories in video games ever. I mean, I won't say the overall story is one of the best. I guess what I really mean is the villain.
The villain is good.
Is one of the best villains. And I will admit, some of the story leading up to it can be a bit tedious at times, but that's just Far Cry. That if you're not into that type of game, you're not going to be into it. But because the villain is so good, Joseph Seed, yeah, because he is such a good villain, and there's such good like sub villains that are like right underneath him, it makes completing each area really fun to someone like me.
Yeah.
And then once you're able to complete those 3, finally going on to the big boss, and like the boss fight at the end is fun. All the gameplay is good. The graphics hold up very, very well. I think that's another thing that puts it up over 3, which 3 was good for its time, but
it's also a 2008 game.
It's a 2008 game, which Far Cry 5 still holds up well. The graphics in 6 are obviously better because it's a newer game, but just the gameplay and the story in 6, in my opinion, is just not it. So I would definitely pick out of all the Far Cry games, I would pick 5, and I think one of them has to be on the list. Maybe it's a little bit of bias on my part, but I think the gameplay is fun, and it's the kind of game I enjoy the most.
Like it's as you know from my picks, it is hard to dispute a game that you have not played. And it immediately invalidates your opinion to dispute a game that you haven't played, and I do fully recognize that. But I also fully recognize that it is very common to say that Far Cry never truly advanced mechanically from 3, and it has just graphically gotten better. Like obviously the gameplay is better and the graphics are better, but it should be because it's a more recent game. But like I think most of my issues with 3 and 4 also apply to like 5 and 6, the 2 that I haven't played. And it's that like I think Far Cry is, and most Ubisoft games in general, are video game junk food. And the way I describe that is like a McChicken from McDonald's the best for you? No. But does it taste good? Absolutely. And that's how it is. It's not like the pinnacle of video games, but if you literally just want to sit there and have fun with a video game, Far Cry is a phenomenal choice. It is a very good game to just pick, but also it like specifically the earlier games kickstarted a negative thing that people don't like, which we've talked about this before, which is like a video game with a checklist open world, which is you like open the map and it's like, oh, you can't see anything because you have to go to these 8 different watchtowers throughout the entire map so you can see the section of the map. Assassin's Creed's bad about that. The new Zelda games are bad about that, and it started with Far Cry, and like Far Cry, the originals. What?
Nothing. I just wanted to touch your hand.
Okay. The originals were like, I honestly have nothing to say about 1 and 2. I don't think I've seen gameplay on 1 and 2.
I've seen gameplay. I've never played them.
But like, they've never truly advanced. It's kind of a nicer coat with a new story of a game from 2008. But I still think it's a good pick, and it's still a cool pick. But I wouldn't put it on my top 5.
I think that's a fair argument. And if you just don't like those games, you're just not going to like Far Cry 5. But for somebody who likes the grinding aspect and who, for whatever reason, enjoys the checklist kind of format.
Honestly, do too.
Maybe it's because I'm like ADHD, and when I'm trying to play video games,
you want to have something to do.
I want to have like a list of certain things that I have to do. But yeah, Far Cry 5, my personal favorite, and I don't think it would sit right if it wasn't on the list.
Yeah, I get that, and that makes it kind of obvious. That makes it kind of obvious what my number 1 pick is gonna be, which I wasn't gonna say it. I didn't want to put I didn't want to put my favorite game of all time on my list, but my favorite game of all time is, like some of the other ones that we've mentioned today, unanimously considered to be one of the best games ever made, and that is Final Fantasy VII. It's like, I don't think there's too many people who know about video games that don't know about Final Fantasy, and I think Final Fantasy VII specifically is so popular to the point where a lot of people who don't know anything about Final Fantasy think that the characters in 7 are staples of the entire series, because like it's 7 is the one people know, and usually a game is a sequel, but like in the Final Fantasy games they're like completely standalone. So 1's not connected to 2, 2's not connected to 3, all the way up to 16. They're all their own universes, all their own worlds, characters, nothing connects. And 7 like has such a standout story, and it took so many like people, and it's like brought them into what an RPG could be when it came out on the PS1. And it like still there are video games that come out now, like literally every year, that build upon the story beats that Final Fantasy VII set in stone.
Again, another game I've never played, and like you said, it's hard to dispute. But I know it's your favorite video game. I've heard you talk about it a lot. So I think, like you said about Far Cry 5, it's easy to advocate for a game that is your personal favorite. So I don't think it's a bad idea for you to put it on the list, but from what I've seen of the game, I will say it just doesn't look like a game for me, and that although you say it is regarded as one of the best games ever made, I don't know if I would say it is. I don't know if I believe it's as popular as you're telling me it is.
I promise you it is. You're just sheltered when it comes to the video game world.
I'm just a sheltered game.
There is a reason that they are remaking it as a 3-part series where they're all basically keeping that entire company alive, the hype for the next one. It's like, it is the biggest RPG of all time, and you're not like you're not a big RPG guy.
I'm not.
You don't play a lot of like actual full-on like tactical role-playing games and stuff like that, because it's not your style, and that's perfectly fine.
Because RPGs don't go awesome.
I think RPGs absolutely go awesome. I think they go more awesome than almost any other type of genre out there. But it is a very, like, if you're not a fan of that, then that's fine. But also, Final Fantasy is such a wide-reaching thing, where like, especially 7, where like, if you don't like the original 7 and you're not big on like turn-based games, especially one that looks as dated as 7 does, because it really does not look good now, the remakes are like actual full-on like action game combat where you're controlling the characters. And in my opinion, I think the remakes have the coolest combat system ever, because you can control every character in your party, and you just like tap one of the trigger buttons to swap to them, and you can like do combos while changing characters. So like you hit somebody, send them into the air with one character, jump and teleport to the other character, and now you're controlling somebody else and doing the next combo. I think it's just like, it's such a wide-reaching phenomenon that like there's something for everyone. Like my dad has played some of 7 remake.
Well,
like,
your dad's a loser.
Whoa, hot take. But he actually he loves the gameplay of that game.
Sorry,
so.
Mr. Farmer. So that was your last pick. So we're just down to my last pick.
Yeah, we're down to your last pick.
I'm really torn between 2. I don't think you could guess the 2 I'm torn between. They both start with an A. And I can't. Don't try and guess.
Among Us?
No, it's not Among Us 1, Among Us 2. Among Us and Animal Jam. No. Oh, man. I'm going to give the other one an honorable mention.
Yeah, you have to. I now want to know what it is.
Okay, I'll give the honorable mention first, and then I'll give my actual 5th pick.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
So, yeah, I'm decided. I guess I'm decided. Okay,
Decided?
My honorable mention is A Way Out.
Okay.
Just because it's such a unique game, and it's kind of like started other games. I think there's been like newer games who were made like co-op stories, really. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't like the first one, but it's the first like one that at least got popular and like I saw. It was just a fun game for what it was. Awesome co-op story game. If you have like a partner, just like a friend, I think that's a great game to play. I really wanted to put that in my top 5 because I love it. But my actual 5th pick, I'm going to say Ark Survival Evolved. I'm not. Why are you laughing?
Okay, go ahead.
It's not that funny. It's a good game.
Oh, it's fun.
It is fun. That's what it's about.
I've never heard anyone who likes that game say it's a good game.
Okay, well, it's the same as other games that I obviously thought about. I won't say it's the best game, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is all that it's about, right? I mean,
Games should be fun. That's the whole point of
games should be fun. And Ark is not the most graphically pleasing game. It's also not the most, doesn't have the best gameplay. It doesn't have, it has cool dinosaurs. Like,
that's what it's got going for sure.
It has cool dinosaurs. I think if you actually follow the game and try and go through the different the different map, like the actual story to Ark, and try and beat the bosses.
Story is more interesting than it leads itself to be.
Yeah, trying to beat the boss, like, it's a real challenge. Like,
it absolutely is.
Beating the bosses is hard. It's like if you don't have your settings like turned up, like, it's a really hard game to actually play. And you laughed so much when I said that, it kind of just threw me for a loop. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry.
Which, it's like I said, it's not the best ever made game, but it's just, maybe this is just coming from a guy who just loves dinosaurs.
I also love dinosaurs.
But it's fun to fly around on dinosaurs.
If you get a group of friends and you're just all running around on raptors and stuff like that, there's not much of a better feeling. But
I know, I love it. I love Ark. Maybe I put Ark so high because most of my experience playing Ark is me playing with a big group of friends.
Yeah.
Like, we've had our own servers before, and we just like all play together. And we've also played a little bit on like other random servers with just random people. But if you're into games like Rust, if you're into games like, is it like DayZ?
Yeah.
Any, like, where there's like servers with online people and you join, I think Ark is the best game of that.
I would probably agree because I don't like the other ones, and I do like Ark.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously very biased. It's like Ark is better because I like Ark and I don't like these. But that is my entire opinion on that. But like, it's a painful game, I think, is a big thing, because like if you spend hours like building your base, and then you come back from work and you're ready to relax and play a nice game of Ark Survival Evolved, and your base is gone.
That's why I like Ark, because you can play single player.
Yes.
Which is, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's like single player in Rust or anything, because
I don't think so.
I don't feel like there'd be much of a point.
There's not a lot to do.
But Ark has like a definitive story, and it has a definitive progression to where playing single player is fun.
It's not balanced for it, but that is why the game gives you like things you can do where you can up the XP multiplier, up the health multiplier, that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, and I can't believe you laughed so hard at Ark. You laugh like it's the worst game you've ever heard in your life. And
I don't think it's a good game, like, at all, but I do like playing.
I don't think it's the best game ever made, but I think it's a game I've enjoyed enough, and a game that I think a lot of people have enjoyed enough, where I want to put it on my list because it's fun.
I do appreciate putting a game on your list solely because you like the game. Because, like, if you don't enjoy a game, like, you can't advocate for it as hard. Like, I mean, I started the game off, like, the list off with a game that I'm not fond of, a game that is unanimously considered to be one of, if not the best game ever made, that I don't like. So I do think it's a nice. We start it with a game that I don't like, but I think is phenomenal. And then we're ending it with a game that is unanimously considered to not be great, that you do like. And I think that's a cool way to come full circle.
Okay, well, I don't know if I have anything else to say about Ark. Do you have anything else you want to add?
About Ark? Not specifically, no.
Okay, well, I guess we'll do a little recap. So I picked Minecraft, GTA, Firewatch.
Yeah.
Far Cry 5, and then Ark.
Yes. And
you picked
Red Dead 2, and then I can't remember what the fourth one was. Do you remember what the fourth one was? I know in my list it is Elden Ring. It's Red Dead 2, Elden Ring, Resident Evil 4, Mario Galaxy, and Final Fantasy 7. Yeah.
So those are 5 lists.
It is two very different feels.
Very different games. Man, I'm happy I sniped Firewatch. Such a good game.
That was a great pull.
Crazy pull. So yeah, we'll post that. I guess we'll make a poll, right?
Yeah.
That's more your thing.
We'll probably do it on the Instagram story.
Instagram story poll.
But also I don't know because it wouldn't be up for too long. We'll figure out something. It'll be somewhere.
So make sure you're following us on all social media. We have Instagram and we have TikTok. Both places it's at That Goes Awesome Pod, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, make sure you check it out on Spotify and you follow us on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you check it out on YouTube and subscribe on the YouTube channel.
Absolutely. We need more.
I will say we are actually really happy with the success of the first podcast.
The first episode went more awesome than we expected it to be.
It did go pretty awesome. People seem to enjoy it, which is great because, like I said before, we're just doing this for fun. So the fact that people actually want to listen is pretty cool.
I am proud of our first episode. I think this one is more in line with what we want the show to be.
Yeah, this one seemed more fun.
We had fun.
We had a great idea for the last one. It was such a big story. It took us a while to get through it, and we also had to do the introduction.
It's a slower topic, whereas this one is more something we can freely talk about.
Yeah, this is something we were just talking to each other about. Make sure that you like all the stuff, and you also comment and tell us.
Like, comment, and subscribe, guys.
Comment on stuff, and also do the poll. But comment any thoughts if you think anything we said was controversial, because we will debate in the comments.
Give us your hot takes. Give us your list. But also
We're such nerds.
but also like, I don't know if it's proper to say give us your list because the ones that we gave are not our top fives, and that is something that is important to say again. Is that like, this is not what I think is the top 5 best games ever made. I have my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. It's just games that I think are objectively good.
Yeah, we were trying to make drafts so that we win, so we don't have to do the punishment. If you have any ideas for the punishment, since neither one of us are like committed to an idea that we have, we're gonna make each other post some type of picture on our social media. If you have an idea for what that picture should be, let us know in any comment section that we have on any of our social media. And yeah, you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Well, Jayden,
Christian, that went awesome.
we're not gonna nail that every time, but we somehow keep doing it. We're out.